Alright, so for part 4 and the last part of this small video series, I have the solar panel system connected the way it was before, and yeah, it's the result is that I can connect the inverter to the batteries, and then it works okay. And I'm not going to say fine, but it works. But I cannot connect the inverter to the load. So basically what happens is, the way I have it connected now, the inverter is going straight to the battery. All this is doing, all the charge controller is doing, is acting as a battery charger. It's not controlling the inverter. So basically the inverter it will use power from the batteries until it reaches its minimum voltage setting. So the inverter also has a minimum voltage that it operates on, and then once it reaches that voltage, it will turn off. The solar charge controller also has that when it's connected to the load. So basically, if I had the inverter connected to the load, then the solar charge controller will automatically turn the inverter off once it reaches the setting that I adjust here. And on the inverter, I can't adjust that setting. It doesn't matter too much. The only big difference is what I said, is that on the solar charge controller, I can control that minimum voltage setting. Whereas here, it'll only stop when the batteries are dead. When the inverter reaches its minimum, it's a very low minimum, the batteries are done. So basically when it shuts off, the batteries are already discharged. Whereas here you can turn the voltage up so that the inverter turns off before the batteries are fully discharged. So I think maybe for the inverter it might be something like 10.6 volts, whereas here I can set it to 12 or 12.3. But whatever is happening is that the solar charge controller is sensing too much amperage, or it's discharging too quickly and it's not really charging. So as you can see right now, we're not really charging. These batteries aren't very well charged, but they're more charged than what it says here because the inverter is still on. But bottom line is, I can't connect the inverter to the load. At least the way I have it set up right now. I'll do a separate video. What I'm going to do later is I'm going to hook up this controller to 24 volt batteries. So basically two 12 volt batteries in series, and we'll see how it operates. But by far, this is not working as it should. It's not working nearly to its full potential. Whereas this one, look, it's already at 13.8 volts. I've never had the batteries at such a high voltage. And I'm not 100% sure they should stay at this voltage, but when you're driving your car, that's what the voltage is at from the alternator. The alternator is charging the batteries at 13.8 to 14 volts. And well, I'm going to shut this off and the video, get everything reconnected to the other solar battery charger, or solar charge controller if you want to call it that, and try to get this hooked up to the other panels in a 24 volt system.